We're here with Tim, CTO from Techolution, who'll be sharing with us a bit more about Techolution and how they implement Anthos. But first, Tim, can you tell us a bit more about what Techolution does and what it means to be a Google Cloud partner?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks, Mark, for having me on the show. It's great to be here. Techolution helps companies come in, modernize their application stack, and really come up with a strategy on how to get to the cloud. And then we'll go in, set up their cloud environment for them, make sure it's secure and ready to be, start deploying applications to, and then we'll even run managed services at the end if they're interested. I work with a lot of companies and they really want to modernize a place. And they want to run containers and they want to run in their data center or maybe multiple cloud providers. And the options that are out there are really limited, and they all have some sort of drawback and some sort of things that really stop you from working with it. Whereas Anthos, it really doesn't. I mean, there's a lot of amazing things with it. It's based on open source technology. It's frees you from the vendor lock-in. You can deploy it to many clouds. It has the power of GKE, so it helps you run the cloud for you. And it really is, it's not that expensive. So there's just a lot of benefits to it.
That makes sense for how Anthos can help people, but how does it actually do those individual things?
Anthos is actually a collection of tools. Well, I should say a collection of mostly open source tools, which even brings a lot of more power to it. So first you have GKE On-Prem, which brings you the power of GKE and all those benefits, like I said, that Google brings forward for you. It manages the clusters for you. It allows you that scalability and all the amazing things that come along with it. Second, you got the Anthos Configuration Manager, which is a great piece of technology that allows you to treat your configurations as code. So you can check them into the repository, make changes, and when you want to change or update the system, it'll automatically pull it down. The next is the Anthos Service Mesh, which is a product based on Istio, which allows you to kind of get some insight into your inter-process communication between your containers and get some insight into actually what's going on. Next on the list, you have Cloud Run, which is a serverless technology that allows you to bring the functions and the serverless benefits you get to your data center or to other cloud provider. And then finally, you have the marketplace. So if you need to use third-party tools like MongoDB or Redis or Elasticsearch or any of the things that are actually in the marketplace, you can bring those to wherever you're actually running Anthos.
So it makes sense these different pieces kind of play together to create a really great solution for a wide variety of use cases. Can you talk a bit more about how you've implemented Anthos in a specific use case and what that brought to the table?
Absolutely. Anthos is still a relatively new technology. It just came out last April, so people are still learning to get their hands on it and figure out how it works. So we've been working with a lot of customers, and when they embark on this journey by themselves, and they don't properly plan and strategize how they're going to do this, they kind of run into problems, and we've saved many customers coming in and helping them strategize. So we're able to come in, set up a plan, use some of our automation and our IP that we've created, and help them get to Anthos in 30 days or less. Another good scenario that we worked with, which is a very specific one, is we were working with a client, and the IT operations guy probably had a little too much power than he should have. And he was, working with the environment, and he was in a qual environment, or at least he thought he was in a qual environment, but he was actually in a production environment, and he accidentally deleted the namespace. And you can't imagine what the repercussions of that were. So with Anthos, if he was running Anthos and Anthos Configuration Manager, he wouldn't have had that problem. Because if you delete the namespace, it will automatically go back to the single source of truth, aka the repository, pull the latest version of whatever it was, and rebuild the cluster for you. So actually, after we deployed Anthos for him, we actually showed him this and had him actually do it, and he was amazed at how quick it actually rebuilt the cluster right in front of him.
I'm sure that's a situation that unfortunately a lot of us can relate to.
Unfortunately, yes.
But it kind of gives a good example of where the power of Anthos and implementing it comes from. So for people who are interested in maybe taking on Anthos or learning more about it, what are some of the big takeaways for them?
Sure. The biggest thing that I think that you kind of don't necessarily think about is it really brings the cloud to you. It allows you to modernize in place. So if you want to run containers and microservices and you want to run that in your data center or really any cloud provider that you choose, it brings that capabilities for you, and it brings all the power of GKE and the management of that. It's also great for companies that have problems with either regulations, whether there be data regulations or government regulations where they got to keep all the data in one place. You can bring the cloud to them where you don't have to get the data out. Some of the big takeaways that I've learned from actually setting up and installing Anthos is make sure that you have full logging enabled. I mean, you need to be able to see every log item that goes in, whether it's info or debug. The more logging you have, the better you'll be. And second, when you're actually going in and setting this up, you need to be really good at recreating this. You need to be able to wipe it clean, start fresh, and just keep going and plugging away.
It's always great to hear these customer stories, so thank you so much for coming in and telling us a bit more about what makes Anthos so powerful.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me.
If you'd like to learn more about Techolution, visit techolution.com. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more great episodes of Stack Chat.